Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us this week for Diving Deeper. I'm here with Pastor Dave. And Pastor Dave, we are in the middle of our reboot series. And this morning, you talked a little bit about restarting after experiencing loss in your life. And so one of the things that jumped out to me was just how, loss is something that everybody goes through. Obviously, there's different stages, different experiences. But why is that one of the things in life that is just so difficult for us as humans to process compared to everything else?
You would think we'd be good at it by now, because we experience loss from the beginning. I mean, life is a series of losses we deal with, as we grow up and go to school and leave home, whether it's, going off to kindergarten, whether it's moving, going to a new school, to a new community, going out into the world on our own, the relationships that come and go. Loss is so much a part of what we go through and what we deal with in life. You would think we would be wired more for being able to deal with that and to be able to both rebuild our lives and in some ways we do keep going. I mean, it's certainly not, for most of us, we don't just crash and burn and aren't able to pick ourselves up. But on the other hand, it's not something that's easy for us to talk about. It's not necessarily something that's easy for us to find help for, in an open and honest way. I don't think, there's a sense of denial that's always a part of our human condition about how we deal with the painful parts of life for us.
Right.
And certainly a part of the biblical record, of people who experience loss. And we've been talking today about loss in terms of death and grief, but it's also a part of. So as I was saying, it's part of what happens when there's divorce or there's estrangement or break in relationships. We all have some people who just stop talking to us. We lose relationships. We're like, why did that happen? Can I do something different about that? And and God works in those painful places in our lives. I mean, God draws very near to us in those painful places. I think to help us see how to deal with them and to move forward so that we're not defined by loss. I think God wants us to be defined more by faith and by hope that God is putting into our lives so that we're able to take those steps forward or to learn from our losses and to be in ministry and relationship with others who are broken by loss, because that is so much a part of what our life involves.
I think in listening to what you just said as well as this morning, I think one of the things that stands out most about loss is it's one of those things that you go through in life that leaves its mark on you.
Yes.
And like you said, and sometimes it's a positive mark in a sense, such as you were saying, going to kindergarten or, leaving home to go to college. It hurts, but then it makes you who you are. It helps you enter that next stage of life. But then there are those losses, like you were just saying, whether it's mostly relationally, and not just romantic relationally. It can just be, friends that you've had that you lose touch with, or they stop talking to you, and that can be a tremendous loss that kind of dents you for life. And
dents you, it shapes our perspective. We read this story about Naomi who renames herself. Naomi, her name means pleasant. She calls herself, she goes, I'm bitter now, my life, because I've lost so much, because life has been so hard and so tragic. And we all know bitter people. They are not easy people to be around. And,
True.
And it's like, we really wish they could live in a better address, a better place.
Now, not to get too heavy with you, Pastor Dave, but since we are talking about loss, I'll lean in here.
Yeah.
Tell me about loss in your life, Pastor Dave.
Sure. No, it's, it certainly has been a part of who I am. And, I have been through that experience of divorce, which just breaks you, and the painfulness of losing love and losing a big piece of yourself and a sense of family and what you hoped love would be and what you would be able to do and love and in a committed relationship. There's a sense of you've lost a part of yourself and how you saw yourself. I remember how my parents couldn't see me in the same way after I'd gone through divorce. I was not the kid they thought I was going to be, and that took quite a while to readjust that. There was a lot of painfulness around dealing with that. So how other people see us in our experience of loss. And then the death of our daughter when she was 31 years old was a incredibly difficult loss. I mean, that took us apart all the way, to ground zero. We had to rebuild our lives after that, the painfulness of that. And one of the things I discovered from that experience in the church was there were many people who had lost adult children or had lost children, and even some who had lost more than one. And I can't see how you could even get out of bed in the morning after losing more than one of your children. And so there is this fellowship of people who suffer. I mean, and somebody came by, I remember, and said, well, you're part of a very special group now of those of us who have given up so much in life and are hurting deeply. And again, it was part of that reality that you said it puts a dent in you, and it does. It reshapes you, and your life really is never the same. We want to be able to keep dealing with life and to move forward in life, but we take that with us. Always colors the way we see ourselves, our family, and that's appropriate. It should be. I mean, when we have loved someone so much as we love a child, and lose them, particularly in a difficult way, that should not go away. God helps us to learn to deal with that, and ways to look at that, and not to carry that in ways that are always taking us apart again. We don't want to keep reliving it. I mean, I think that's part of the challenge for us, but incorporating it into our being and into our faith in ways that can be healthy or be life-giving for someone else is a way God can use that experience of loss.
And I appreciate you sharing both of those examples with us, Pastor Dave. It's one of the things that we're grateful for this opportunity is for those of you watching can get to know Pastor Dave, myself, a little bit deeper, if you will, not to trade on the title of this series. But one of the reasons that I'm glad Pastor Dave shared is I know that those of you watching online have similar stories as Pastor Dave, who have gone through a loss, whether it's through divorce or a death in the family. And I'm glad you said it earlier, and you said it again right now, that one of the nice things, especially we talk about it often, that we do well here at Lakeview is be a family, be a community. And I want you to know that there are plenty of us here who can share and help you if you are going through that time of loss and you need a shoulder. And so I want to encourage you to reach out to Pastor Dave, myself, call into the church office if you are going through a real dark period where you feel like that loss is overwhelming. We both want you to know that you're not alone and that we're here for you, and we're happy to stand alongside of you and help you through this chapter of your life. So, Pastor Dave, I know this was a little heavier of a topic to talk about, but I'm glad we did. And I hope it was helpful to you. And we will see you next week as we continue this series about rebooting and starting over in life. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your week.